Children affected by migration, referred to as ICAM, have long suffered the effects of separation and the damage it causes to their education and life chances. The experience of those working to improve the inclusion of ICAM and their families in schools has much to offer the urgent initiative now needed to address the long-term damage to the education of all disadvantaged children caused by their separation from school during the COVID-19 pandemic. Many dedicated and caring teachers and child welfare workers are supporting some of the 10.5 million children in Europe who, for whatever reason, have suffered from displacement, separation or loss as a result of migration. They may be asylum seekers, refugees, economic or social migrants. They include approximately 3 million children left behind by parents who have migrated to find work. There is mounting evidence that disadvantaged children have been much more seriously affected by their separation from school during the pandemic than other children. This is causing a crisis for growing inequality in societies across Europe. There's an urgent need for effective action to restore and repair equality of opportunity for a generation of children. As a result of the pandemic, ICAM, like other disadvantaged children, are suffering further separation from the relationship-building support they need to overcome their educational disadvantage. They are isolated in their families, often suffering and sharing trauma and speaking only their home language. The gains previously made to their vitally important social and emotional well-being will be lost without the further support of dedicated staff working to retain the inclusion of ICAM in schools. There is widespread awareness of the problem of growing inequality and falling academic achievement, and there are many press reports. Here are two of them. In many countries, teaching online during closure of schools and the arrangements for reopening have focused on academic progress. For example, catch-up lessons may be provided, often online. However, these arrangements ignore support for the social and emotional well-being of children, even though both have been damaged. In some cases, arrangements have also raised tensions and adversely affected relationships between school and home because parents and carers have not felt supported. It is well established and evidenced by successful help for ICAM that improving social and emotional learning, known as SEL, and creating the climate for learning through convivencia are the two most effective ways to improve learning capacity for all children. Convivencia means living together in harmony, creating a secure, supportive and welcoming environment where all children have a sense of belonging, feel safe and can focus on learning. Without convivencia across a whole school, SEL is ineffective. Without SEL for every child, education is ineffective. ICAM have suffered from broken relationships, and so have all disadvantaged children during the pandemic. Remote schooling has to some degree helped many children retain some of the relationships for learning that they need. However, many disadvantaged children, ICAM included, find it difficult to retain learning relationships unless they're able to share and engage socially and emotionally in person. Unless relationships are rebuilt when children return to school, they cannot learn. So rebuilding relationships is the first and ongoing task of any school welcoming children back to their learning community. So what are the relationships that have been broken, particularly for disadvantaged children, including ICAM? There are 4 key relationships for learning: relationships with our teachers, relationships with our community, relationships with our environment, relationships with ourselves. To restore these relationships, all the 5.8 million talented and dedicated European school staff need the guidance, support and inspiration of school leaders who can improve and implement effective SEL for every child and convivencia across a whole school. School leaders can achieve a return to learning for all children by restoring and improving 5 functions of their school. Number 1, enhancing the climate of convivencia so that all children feel included, loved and cared for. Number 2, providing additional support in school and in the family for their social and emotional learning and well-being so that children have the capacity to rebuild strong relationships for learning. Number 3, working with and involving any family or carers in a close, caring partnership for learning. Number 4, releasing the talent and resource of children themselves to support each other in their journey together through childhood. And number 5, raising the awareness of the rights of all children and the law protecting them, so that everyone understands that building relationships for learning is not an option, it's a fundamental human right. Because of their circumstances, CAM are particularly vulnerable to abuse in all its evil forms. The pandemic has exposed the vulnerability of all disadvantaged children. The UNHCR reports a recent rise in racism, xenophobia, gender-based violence and intolerance across Europe. This may further exclude disadvantaged children from their education entitlement. They're also most vulnerable to online bullying, grooming and radicalisation. During lockdowns, many children have been more active than usual on social media. This has exposed CAM, who are particularly reliant on the internet for contact with family and friends, even more to online harm. Consequently, there's now a greater need than ever for internet safety programmes educating and protecting all children from danger through misuse of social media. Programmes designed to better include CAM and their families in school build on, combine and apply existing resources for supporting school leaders to help their staff improve the aspects we have mentioned. Social and emotional well-being through SEL, convivencia, parent-carer partnerships, child-led peer support, the rights of the child, racial and gender equality, and internet safety and responsibility. Furthermore, they apply best practice for efficient and effective dissemination to cascade support to all schools in a province or country. They can be applied in support of all children and their schools to restore the capacity for learning damaged by separation during the pandemic. The ICAM programme is one example of the support available to achieve these outcomes for CAM and now for all disadvantaged children.